There's something about scenes like this. You don't chase them, you notice them. A tiny mushroom, untouched, holding on through winter. And just like that, the world slows down, just enough for you to feel it. I'll come back to this one later. This video is called Macro Medicine, and I think you'll feel why. It's a slow walk through the forest where I set up shots, shape light, and let go of everything I don't need to carry right now. You don't need to do anything, just breathe, come with me, and let's see what we can find. It's kind of crazy how much more clarity you can get when you go out there. To be honest, I don't really know what I'm going to find today in terms of photography, but I can say one thing, right here, right now, feels really good. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to slow down? Like really slow down, without needing a reason to do so. There's a tiny piece of moss right here. I think it's going to be my next subject. And for this one, I'm going to try to lose time for probably 30 to 40 minutes. One of the things I love about macro photography is how deeply it brings you into the present moment. It's like the mind and body finally agree to slow down. Here, I place the camera on the tripod and start looking for an interesting composition, something simple but balanced. Once the framing is locked in, I slightly underexpose the shot to leave room for lighting. It's a small step, but it gives me more control when I start adding my flexible LED lights. Then I start building the scene one light at a time, placing the first one behind the moss, tucked carefully around a branch. That backlight brings out the crisp little highlights in the filaments, feeling like they're glowing from within. The second light took a bit of creativity just to put in place, but I always carry a clamp or two for tricky setups like this. Then I decide to bring a little color into the background using a green leaf. With my next light pointed directly onto it, the leaf turns into this light green circular shape that draws the eyes inward. Before taking the shot, I set a 2-second timer with focus bracketing, then gently block the sun with my hand, just enough to eliminate the harsh highlights without dimming the shot too much. You know that moment when you're fully present in something? I've been here probably for the last 15 minutes, only focusing on this small piece of moss. And again, that's why I think macro photography is so much relaxing, because you can literally lose yourself in tiny moments like these. And honestly, if I come home with just this one photo, that's totally fine with me. Putting the camera down and taking a break is also part of the process for me. Just sitting, taking slow breaths, usually makes interesting shifts in the way I approach my compositions. This is where things start to shift for me. When I stop thinking and actually start looking. I think that's very powerful. I've come to realize that photography can be a kind of meditation, not by trying to clear your mind, but actually by filling it with quiet moments. After a while, I stop searching. I just move through the forest and let the next subject find me. It's not about chasing the best image, it's about being open enough to notice when something small pulls you in. I just came across this patch of moss here, and honestly, I couldn't pass by it. There's always something interesting in these patch of moss. Some texture, interesting lighting, maybe some movement. I'm gonna set up here and try to make an interesting composition. So here I start with the basics, tripod, framing, checking focus, and then I begin shaping the light and getting a sense of how it affects the subject. It's fun how we can see only small movements of light, just like that, makes a whole difference. To keep it hidden, I carefully tucked it under the moss and use it to highlight the right side of this beautiful twisted little sprout. I'm not even sure what kind of plant it is, but it looked interesting. Maybe this first light was a bit too much light, but I'll see how it turns out later. Now the second light came from the other side just to help separate the subject from the background. Then I added one more light from the top to give a little more shape to the shot. The last light I decided to use was a soft blue, but to be honest, I'm not sure if it really adds something or not to the shot. Please let me know in the comment if you think it works or not. Then I let the camera do the rest, taking about 40 shots in a focus bracket. In the next scene, I'll show you exactly where I place the focus when I do shots like these. After the last shot, I reminded myself again to walk a little slower and stay open to whatever shows up next. Then I noticed this, a small mushroom just sitting here on top of an old tree stump. I showed it to you briefly at the beginning of the video, but now it's time to really see it. So I'm gonna take my time, set up slowly, shape the light, and try to do this little moment justice in my own terms. I always like to start playing around handheld with my camera just to explore different angles and get a better feel for the possible compositions. Then I put the camera on my tripod and make sure it's rock solid to eliminate any unwanted vibration that could potentially ruin the shot. Now this scene was already looking really nice with the natural light. And honestly, it could probably stand on its own. But if you know me, you know I like to shape the subject a little bit more with my flexible lights. When I really pay attention how the light hit only one small detail, it's like everything else falls away. Sometimes, some of us try to light everything evenly, but remember that shadows produce depth and just a bit of shade can definitely help reveal the curve and texture of this mushroom. Here, to get sharp focus, I used the magnification feature on my camera and locked in the very front of the mushroom, because for me, having the front of the image off is a big no-no. Here, since the depth of the mushroom was tricky and I used a rather large f5 aperture, I needed 60 bracketed images to cover the whole subject. For this one, let me know what you think of the final result, and more importantly, about adding a touch of artificial light like I did here. There's a quote I love from the Dalai Lama. It says, "There's only 2 days in a year when nothing can be done. Yesterday and tomorrow." So that makes today the best day to slow down, pay attention, and just be here. I think I didn't need to shoot something extraordinary today. I needed to reconnect. And macro photography always has a way for me to bring me back to what really matters and also remind me to keep moving.